Hey guys, how you doing today? My name is Kyle, and I'm going to be discussing Split, the newest film directed by M Night Shyamalan. This film stars James McAvoy as a man named Kevin who suffers from dissociative identity disorder, in which he has 23 split personalities. And one specific personality out of the 23 kidnaps 3 teenage girls. He puts them in this room, and we have a contained claustrophobic thriller, as well as multiple scenes of him talking to his psychologist played by Buckley. Split is directed by a man named M Night Shyamalan, and when I was growing up, whenever I heard the name M Night Shyamalan, it was normally used to bash the man. Because when I was a little kid, he made The Village, Lady in the Water, and The Happening, 3 awful films. And the last movie I saw of his in theaters was The Last Airbender. I think After Earth is his worst movie. That film insulted my intelligence. I absolutely detest that movie. The Visit I thought was okay. It didn't really feel like that much of a comeback film for him. It wasn't really that big. It wasn't that great. It was fine, had some funny moments, but it was kind of forgettable for me. Split is M. Night Shyamalan's comeback film. This is the best movie the man has made since Signs, in my opinion. This is a very intriguing thriller for a lot of reasons, so let's talk about my pros first, because as you guys know, I am an optimist. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was excellent in this movie. She really captivated me with her performance. She's also very pretty in my opinion, so that also kind of helped. There's a lot of layers to understanding who she is as a person. She's very calm, very reserved throughout the film, and through multiple flashback sequences we discover exactly why, but I'm not going to spoil that for you because I think you need to discover that for yourself. Buckley, who plays Kevin's psychologist, I think she did a fantastic job. This definitely redeems her from that creepy old lady from The Happening because...
Planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
I really enjoyed the session sequences she had with Kevin. I think all of them were very important to understanding more about his character. It gave her character some more development as well. But let's talk about McAvoy's performance on its own. I absolutely loved his performance. I think he did a magnificent job. And I think the idea of trying to mentally morph yourself into different characters is extremely difficult for one actor to do on himself. But luckily, McAvoy's charisma just led it to be so believable. I think there was a sense of realism with every role he played, especially Hedwig. This was my favorite character out of all of them. He has a really, really awesome scene that I do not want to spoil for you, but I'm just saying it's going to come up, and it was really funny, and it was very surprising. I really enjoyed that. Every time he was on screen, it just elevated the intensity. It made it very creepy because you didn't know which character he was going to come out as next. Now let's discuss the writing and directing, which is where Shyamalan really comes in. I thought that he directed this movie really well. It is shot very well. There are a few action scenes in the movie, and every single one of them are all competently shot. There's none of that shaky cam. While having genuinely scary moments, Shyamalan tries to infuse a lot of humor into his scenes, and you can tell he was trying to be very experimental with certain shots and certain moments throughout the film. Sometimes it worked really well, yet there were times where it just didn't, and that's where I descend into my cons with the film. I had mixed feelings as he tried to infuse humor in it because there were times where I was legitimately laughing. There were times where it was genuinely funny. But then there were other times where I was wondering whether or not I should be laughing at this. And I will say that I was in a completely packed theater when I saw this film. Not a single seat was open. Sometimes the audience on one side of the theater laughed and the other side was kind of quiet. And it was very interchangeable. So, in a way, the experiment did work to see what sticks and what didn't stick, but I found myself not really laughing at certain parts because I thought it was genuinely creepy, since Kevin really is a psychopath. Now let's talk about the 2 other girls that are kidnapped, played by Lu Richardson and Jessica Sula. Now if you guys have been following my channel, you know The Edge of 17 was one of the best movies I saw last year. I loved it. It was so relatable to me, so impactful, and Lu Richardson was one of the main characters of that film, and I thought she did a really good job in it. However, in this movie, not so much. I felt that her character had some very awkward, clunky dialogue. That being said though, Jessica Sula's character I thought was even worse. She was the kind of person who would just back in a corner and either scream or start to cry, and it just became standard horror movie cliche fluff. Now yes, I know this has been mentioned in other videos, but I have to agree. There is a huge exposition dump given towards the I'd say middle of the movie, where Buckley's character is having a Skype conversation, and I felt bad because Shyamalan was really trying to be experimental, trying to throw some things at the audience, but again, trying to keep information away from the audience to the very end of the film because he wants to keep us in suspense and he wants us to be asking questions throughout. But this is the example where Shyamalan might have thought, we might not have understood it, so we need a huge expositional sequence for all of us to get it, and I felt that was very weak on his part. This movie could have also been a lot scarier. It felt more like a contained claustrophobic thriller, but by far my biggest issue with Split had to do with its pacing. If a movie has an issue where it has a huge scene where intensity is just building and building, and then once the climax of the scene happens, it then just either drags out or it stops and the tension gets relieved for a long time and then it finally comes back. If a movie has that, it kind of ruins a lot of the experience for me because I want a thriller to keep me on my toes throughout the whole thing. Now, one of the few perks I do whenever I go to the movies is I actually time my films. I know it's weird, but I've been doing it ever since 2013. I just think it's pretty cool. And Split is an hour and 50 minutes, which I believe is Shyamalan's longest film. I think if it was 90 minutes, the film would have been a lot better. The film did get a bit repetitive throughout its first act, and I feel the first half of the movie has the biggest issue with pacing. That being said, though, once the second half happens and the climax of the movie occurs, it is genuinely scary. It wasn't absolutely terrifying, but it was definitely scary. It'll definitely keep you on your toes. Now, I promise you guys, I'm not going to spoil anything. The last 2 minutes of this movie, the real twist to it, was absolutely incredible. This film was a B, but that ending was an A+. I absolutely loved the ending. My jaw dropped. I just could not believe it. I don't want to spoil it for you. It is just absolutely insane. You need to see it. Guys, overall, I enjoyed Split. I thought it was a good movie. It could have been better. It could have been a lot scarier. I think a couple of the characters, Jessica Sula and Haley Lu Richardson in particular, should have had a lot better character development. You could have completely erased that exposition scene by Betty Buckley's character. If the film was shorter, I think it would have been in the A range. But in the end, guys, I'm going to give M Night Shyamalan's Split a B+. So, if you saw Split, what did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Are you somewhere in the middle? I would love to hear your comments, so send them in the comment section below. And guys, thank you so much as always for watching my reviews. I hope you enjoyed my Unbreakable review. I hope you enjoyed this one as well. I'll be back talking about a lot of other 2016 films to prepare for my top 10 movies of 2016 list. Thank you so much, and stay tuned.